I am literally the best wide receiver prospect of all time, and today I'm playing my entire collegiate career and not stopping until the day I get drafted into the NFL. I'm currently a 5-star recruit, and whichever college ends up getting me to commit will be making the best decision in program history. I'm a freshman wide receiver with 99s in every category, which means I should have a better collegiate career than Devontae Smith and Corey Davis combined. Now the problem is Mike Dixon, myself, has to complete all 7 of these challenges before he gets drafted into the NFL, and if I fail to complete even just one of these challenges, I'm gonna give away $100 to one of you at the end of the video. Now, I have to make a decision on where I want to attend college, and it ended up being a close race between Ohio State, Michigan, and LSU. By week 7, LSU took the lead on me, but after I took a week 9 trip to Columbus, Ohio State jumped up to my favorite school. On National Signing Day, I signed with the Buckeyes, so I would be taking on a newly aligned Big Ten. I was a part of a very stacked receiving room, and if things didn't work out at Ohio State for some reason, I might have to transfer. But I couldn't see that happening with CJ Stroud staying in college, and I won my first game as a Buckeye by a lot. But before I could see how my entire freshman year went, I had a chance to help my Buckeyes get revenge on Georgia, who knocked them out of the playoffs last year. I ended up scoring on the first drive, and I was making sure that I found all of the open space in the Bulldogs defense. However, CJ Stroud didn't know how to throw up a jump ball, so until the third quarter, we only had 7 points. Fortunately, that wouldn't even matter since our defense held Georgia to just 1 touchdown, and since I'm playing my whole career in this video, I'm only going to show a few games a year. By week 9, I was 3rd on my team in receiving yards, and I realized that hitting all of these goals was going to be incredibly difficult. For being a 99 overall in every single category, my freshman year was a little bit underwhelming, but I still had half of a season to turn it around, and I was ready to prove that I was the best receiver out there. In the 4th quarter, I watched Drew Aller deliver a dot, giving Penn State the lead, so if we were going to get the win, I would have to get us into the end zone, and that was proving to be a little harder than I expected. On 4th and 3, Ryan Day called a halfback screen, but I did a terrible job at picking up my block, so we fell to the Nittany Lions on the road, which ended up not being a very big deal because all we had to do was beat Michigan to win the Big Ten East. And I started the game off with my best play of the year. I made the Wolverine safety look silly as I ran with it for 61 yards to the house in front of my home crowd, and I was loving my utilization out of the slot. I pulled out this wicked corner route that led to my 2nd touchdown of the day, and after those 2 huge plays, you'd think I'd be done, but I wasn't. There was nobody on the Michigan roster that could keep up with my speed, and I abused that as we made the Big Ten championship and potentially the college football playoffs too. But first, we'd have to beat USC in the conference championship before we clinched that, and it was shaping up to be a massive shootout as we kept trading touchdowns. Our defense looked exactly like it did against Georgia in the playoffs last year, so even though I had the game of my career going for 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards on the Trojans' terrible defense, my team lost the Big Ten championship, and that put us way outside of the college football playoffs. I ended up finishing 8th in the country in receiving yards and 3rd in the country for touchdowns, so I didn't complete any of my goals during my freshman year. On top of that, we couldn't even beat Utah in the Sugar Bowl, so I was ready to get into my sophomore season. And with everyone entering the draft or graduating, I was the lone star. This was my time to shine as I could hog as many targets as I'd like, and I know all Miami fans are going to absolutely despise me after this game because I went for 262 yards and 4 touchdowns. By week 8, we were still undefeated, and I was 2nd in the country in receiving yards. But one of my goals was to lead the nation in that category, so I needed to step it up, and that's what I did at UCLA. I got my quarterback, Devin Brown, to start looking my way even more, and it really paid off. Also, not only did he help me, but I helped him as well. All of these receiving yards helped him set school records as he became a part of Buckeye history, and UCLA got railed by 37. We honestly cruised through my sophomore year, but even though my numbers were insane, my quarterback was beating me out for the Heisman, so I had a dilemma because how could I win it if he contributed to all of my stats? I thought I found a workaround by making him throw a ton of interceptions, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really sabotaging him, but he still ended up threading the needle to me anyway. And the worst part about all of this was the result. With only 15 seconds left, we were trailing the Wolverines by 4, and for the first time this game, I didn't want Devin Brown to throw a pick, but he did anyways, so we lost to our biggest rivals, and we were lucky to still make the Big Ten championship. For the second year in a row, I had to take on USC in it, and I had to get a win here to knock out my first challenge of the video. However, Devin Brown was missing throws that he would normally make with ease, and it was causing us to really struggle. We were down by 17 to the Trojans at the end of the third quarter, and things kept getting worse. So when we started to come back, I was really surprised. This 2-point conversion made it a 1-possession game, and after our defense got a big stop, we had a chance to send it to overtime, but I was choking. On 4th and 4, I called for the ball a second too late, and once again, USC was going to beat us in the Big Ten championship, and I was extremely devastated. I didn't win the Heisman over Devin Brown, but I did win the Walter Camp and the Biletnikoff, along with leading the country in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns with an incredible 27, so I knocked off a couple of challenges for the first time in this video. I was ready to get into my junior year, which would certainly be my last before I went to the NFL, but I was on the brink of giving away $100 to one of you if I couldn't complete all of the challenges this year. I think the Heisman one will be the hardest, but winning a championship could be as well, so I was glad to knock out one of the other ones with this touchdown snag against Penn State. I broke the NCAA record for career receiving touchdowns, and that completed my third challenge of the video. But by the fourth quarter of the game, we were in a close battle with the Nittany Lions, so I needed to make sure we survived this close one in the rain. On a huge third down, I got wide open, but Devin Brown looked the other way and threw a costly pick, which led to Penn State taking a late lead. However, I was not willing to lose my chance at the college football playoffs and a Big Ten championship that easily, as I got us into the end zone just 20 seconds later. And after our defense got a stop and got us the ball back, I made a move, and for some odd reason, number 5 froze up, which let me put us up 7. I had the greatest game in college football history, but even that wasn't enough to make me the number 1 Heisman candidate. So against 7-1 Maryland, I would have to continue my dominance by exposing their corners. And I was praying that this was enough to get me the Heisman Trophy. I also realized I somehow missed me breaking the career receiving yards record, so that's another one of the challenges finally complete. By the time I was going into the Michigan game, we were still undefeated, and I was still breaking records like I had done all season. I was the best receiver ever, but the real question would be, could I actually win the Heisman? We'd find that out shortly, but first I had to play USC in the Big Ten championship for the 3rd year in a row. And this was my last chance to complete the challenge, so we had to win this one. With 4 minutes left in the game, I gave us a 1-point lead, and from there, we just ran away with it as I finally won a conference championship against the Trojans. On top of that, I won player of the game, but it wasn't enough for me to win the Heisman Trophy. I mean, how the did I not win it with stats as amazing as these? Drake May did not deserve to lift this trophy over me, and I was gonna get my chance to prove that in the playoffs. See, the challenges are over as I failed one of the 7, so I'm gonna give away $100 to one of you shortly, but first, I have to take out all of my frustration on Drake May and North Carolina. I clearly should have won with my insane stats, and hopefully my 6 touchdowns sends that message to the committee. I might have never gotten my Heisman Trophy, but I was gonna make sure I at least finished my collegiate career with a national championship. And by the way, there is no reason a perfect receiver should ever get clamped like this, but maybe I'm just terrible at playing the game. Later on, EA cheated in my favor with this wacky catch to make up for it, but we ended up falling behind, and this one would literally come down to the final play. I did my best to get open, yet I wasn't targeted, and then I saw Devin Brown take off, and somehow he fought his way into the end zone, winning the national championship for me and my team on the last play of the game. These are the final career stats of the perfect wide receiver, and I ended up getting drafted by the Jets with the number 3 pick, but I'm sure you all are wondering how to enter the $100 giveaway since I couldn't complete all 7 of the challenges, and it's super simple. All you have to do is follow me on Twitter, like this pinned tweet on my account, and I'll randomly pick one of you in a week to give $100.